for Infrastructure, and we'll start with listed questions. Questions 3 and 11 have been withdrawn, and I call Stephen Dunn.
One, Principal Deputy Speaker.
Minister.
My department has been operating in a difficult financial environment for a number of years due to underfunding and austerity by the British Government. In response, my department has had to reduce its road maintenance activities to a limited service, which prioritises delivery of essential services for maintaining public safety and protecting the transport network. Consequently, only the highest priority defects across the network are currently being repaired. This means defects greater than 50mm depth are being repaired across all roads. However, on high-traffic urban and rural roads, defects greater than 20mm are also being repaired. The level of repairs can be carried out in any financial year. It depends on the funding available to my department. I continue to engage with my executive colleagues to ensure that my department is properly resourced and funded.
Call Stephen Dunn for supplementary.
Thank you, Principal Deputy Speaker, and thank the Minister for his answer. The sheer number and scale of the potholes on our roads over the last year, particularly within the North Down constituency, has been truly shocking and caused great concern for the local community which I represent. One example being the busy Castle Park Road in Bangor, which has a road surface more akin to the surface of the moon and has so far not been able to resurface as it is millimetres short of the 50mm. When will the Minister take proper action to address our roads crisis and restore this back to 50mm as it was in 2015-16?
Minister.
Thank you.
Thank the member for this question. We are taking all actions available to us, and the member will be only too acutely aware that within the chamber, ministers from all departments and all parties are under significant financial pressure. Now, what I have done since I went into the department, I have engaged with my colleagues in the department as to how we improve public services as best we can with the limited public resources available to us. We have set in place a plan here in terms of reacting to the potholes, and I accept potholes are an issue across many roads, but it's not only within this jurisdiction. In the south and in England, Scotland and Wales, there's also a crisis in relation to potholes, and it all goes back to one issue. 14 years of austerity leads to deterioration in public services, public infrastructure, and our roads are a glaring example of that.
Paul Declan McAleer for supplementary.
Minister, given the prevalence of potholes, I'd be grateful for your assessment of the use of concrete for road repairs.
Generally, concrete surfacing is only used on rigid pavement construction. When all pavement layers are concrete, there are very few roads here of this type, and because of that, it's not considered a suitable option for maintenance resurfacing on the existing road network. The use of concrete road surfacing also raises environmental concerns, including noise and embodied carbon. It entails high initial costs, excessive maintenance costs, and high replacement costs at the end of life.
Connie Egan for supplementary.
Thank you, Minister. I would concur with my North Down colleague. Castle Park Road in Bangor is an absolute mess. And it's not just about the depth of the potholes that your department won't resurface them, it's actually about the number. The number of potholes on the road is dangerous for cyclists. It's also near a school. It's a very busy road. Please, Minister, will you listen to us and resurface it?
Minister.
As the member will be aware, when reports of potholes come in, they are logged in the local section office. Where there is a group of potholes, they are most likely to be inspected by the inspection and maintenance team. Where they meet the criteria, they will be repaired. We try to also, where there is significant numbers of potholes in the one area, where available resources are there, we will resurface significant stretches of road, as members have been seeing over this last numbers of months in different areas. I am minded that the June monitoring round is coming up. I will be making a bid to the June monitoring round in relation to road maintenance to ensure our network is maintained as best we can in the current scenario. But as I said previously to the member, many of our public services are crumbling. The thing about roads is you see it physically in front of you. This is what happens when you have an austerity agenda at the heart of the British Government for this last decade.
Call Brian Kingston.
Speaker, question number 2.
Minister.
My department is not responsible for for the inspection or maintenance of unadopted alleyways that are in the ownership of other parties. It is the Department's policy not to adopt alleyways and pathways which are not essential for safe vehicular and pedestrian access and where their area is already served by a good network of public footways. My department has been operating, as I've said, in a difficult financial environment for a number of years, and while my department fully supports the efforts of local communities to improve the appearance of back entries and other similar spaces within their areas to enhance community pride, reduce antisocial behaviour and improve the general area, we will continue to engage with statutory agencies and stakeholders in an advisory capacity on this issue. Officials from my department did attend a workshop on unadopted alleyways hosted by Belfast City Council's Peoples and Communities Committee in February 2024.
Brian Kingston for supplementary.
Okay, well, I thank the Minister for that stock reply, and as he will be aware, as the Principal Deputy Speaker will be aware, and other members, unadopted alleyways are a major problem in Belfast, particularly in areas of older housing where no statutory agency will take responsibility, and particularly with the growth then of private landlords, you get alleyways which become a hazard for residents. They can't put out their bins. Some get severely overgrown and become a fire safety risk, where literally people couldn't get out, or fire engine couldn't get in. I note what the Minister said about a meeting held at the Council. So my question, though, is will the Minister be willing to continue, or to commence a discussion with particularly Belfast City Council and the Housing Executive to find a solution or to support resolution of this matter, because no one wants to take responsibility and it's a real issue affecting many residents?
Well, I certainly do think there's a responsibility to continue to engage, whether it's with Belfast City Council or any other local councils and the Housing Executive, to see if we can find a common solution to these matters. The unfortunate thing is that when you're dealing with constrained budgets and reduced numbers of staff, departments have to prioritise their statutory functions, which doesn't allow them then to carry out other matters which they would like to do. I certainly want to see my department playing its full part in local communities and engaging with local communities and supporting local communities and improving the environment they live in. But I do also want to overpromise our lead people on a merry dance, in the sense that there's going to be a solution for my department on this. But I will play my part, and my department will play its part in its discussions. And as we all know in this place, it's good to talk, and you may find a solution within that.
Would the Minister agree that it is important that all public infrastructure, including our footpaths and roads, is well maintained and kept clean?
I agree, but unfortunately sometimes when you come into the bureaucracy of government, you find that when you refer to public infrastructure, you have to find out who owns the public infrastructure. That's the challenge each department finds. But as I said to Mr Kingston, I'm more than happy to play my part, my department's part, in engaging with any of our local councils or the Housing Executive on how we can find solutions to this. I think that one of the solutions may well be empowering communities in this matter, and seeing how we can engage with local communities and community organisations to see how we can support them to maintain these areas which are not under the current ownership of any government department.
Question 3 has been withdrawn. I call William Irwin.
Deputy Speaker, question number 4.
Minister.
It's my intention that my department delivers a full programme of grass cutting in accordance with the new approach to verge management across the road network that I announced in October 2022. This new approach increases focus on protecting wildlife and promoting biodiversity without compromising on road safety, and will support the actions needed to comply with the Climate Change Act passed by this Assembly in 2022. All my department's operational areas implement a blended approach through the use of internal and external contractors for the delivery of verge management. Staff in my department's internal contractor have been trained in various duties depending on needs, such as grass cutting, patching, gully emptying and other responsive duties. Therefore, they are not dedicated to grass cutting solely, but provide a uniquely flexible resource. Grass cutting schedules are prepared at local level to ensure that 2 cuts are completed within the timescales laid out in the policy. Schedules include additional cuts of areas such as sightlines at junctions, and further responsive treatment at junctions is also undertaken as resources permit. External contractors are used to supplement my department's internal resources, and operate in a similar manner, completing grass cutting in accordance with instructed schedules.
Call William Berwin for a supplementary.
Can I thank the Minister for his response? One of the main issues is junctions and sight lines, whereby contractors are inclined to take one swathe, which is about a metre and a half width, which is totally unacceptable and still does not give a clear sight line. It's an issue that I think the Minister needs to look at.
Well, I think in terms of sight lines at junctions, it would be my view that whether it's my own internal department staff or contractors, it is to make the sight line visible. So I certainly wouldn't be of the view that they're restricted to a 1 metre strip in any area. I would be of the view that they're contracted to ensure that safety at those junctions is paramount. I will certainly review that with my officials to make sure that I am correct in that, but I have reduced areas of grass cutting, but I certainly haven't reduced sight lines. They are paramount in terms of road safety.
Nicola Brogan for a supplementary.
Garmiagad Prelas can Corlagus Buhish Lesh and Ira Fossa. Will the Minister consider a wildflower planting scheme for road verges to promote biodiversity?
Yes, we work with a number of councils and we also work with a number of organisations to promote biodiversity along our road verges and major junctions and roundabouts. I've mentioned before Causeway, Coast and Glens Council in the Chamber as an example of how these things can be done. The Department of Infrastructure is a major landowner. A lot of that land is down the sides of roads and we are planning on using it more and more for increasing of biodiversity and increasing in terms of wildflower distribution. Some of it, again, comes back to resources, but I think if we can work in partnership with others, it'll be a very exciting project and enhance the aesthetic look of many of our areas.
Sean Mulholland for a supplementary.
Thank you, Minister, for your answer so far. You've just mentioned there part of my own constituency, Causeway, Coast and Glens. There is a divergent approach across my constituency because we straddle two council areas. Will the Minister commit to writing to councils and actually trying to get a one approach, a sole approach to the biodiversity, wildflowers and grass cutting?
Minister.
I think I had previously, when I was previously in this post, corresponded with councils and other landowners, statutory landowners, and I'm more than happy to do so again.
Stewart for supplementary.
And I thank the Minister for his answer so far and for clarifying this. The reality, sadly, Minister, is in East Antrim, Carrickfergus, Larne and Newtonabbey, large areas at junctions are still uncut, leading to a number of near misses. And the areas that have been cut to date are less than satisfactory in terms of the quality of those cuts, leading to a number of complaints. What scrutiny is the Department doing to analyse the work of the contractors to ensure it is up to standard and being done on time, as it should be?
Well firstly, members, and I'm sure they do, should contact their local section offices about these matters. If there's areas of specific concern, the members should surely even contact my own private office and I'll ensure it's followed up. The contract for grass cutting is ongoing. Contractors are out, as is my own team within the department, out grass cutting at this stage. It's a huge scale operation, but I emphasise time and time again that sight lines are priority and they should be cut properly.
I call Cathy Mason.
Question number 5, Lighthill.
Following the significant flooding that occurred in autumn autumn 2023 across the south and east, including Downpatrick, a joint organisational learning review is well underway to capture any learning identified in terms of preparedness, response and recovery to inform any future collective civil contingencies preparations. Whilst this review is being coordinated by the Executive Office, my department, along with the Department for Communities and Local Government, are leading the way on these aspects for which they are responsible. An independent consultant, Jacobs, has been appointed to assist and provide an independent technical insight into the causes of the flooding and to present considerations to inform any viable solutions. Public opening evenings will be held later this month from 4 to 7 p.m. at the following locations: in Portadown on the 25th of June, Downpatrick the 26th of June and Newry on the 27th of June. Invitations have been issued to those affected and the Department has also issued social media to promote attendance. It's intended that a formal report will be compiled by the end of June 2024 with its findings and recommendations made publicly available thereafter.
Kathy Mason for supplementary.
Thank you, Minister, and I welcome the ongoing work your department and others are doing for the businesses and homeowners in Downpatrick, and I look forward to attending that information session. Is there an update on the homeowner flood protection grant scheme?
Yes, the owner flood protection scheme is available to homes. There's up to a 90% grant of the cost, up to a maximum of £10,000, following a survey of the estimated costs. The homeowner is required to make a contribution of 10% of the survey and the estimated installation costs, and any additional costs that may be incurred above the £10,000. Further information on the home flood protection grant scheme is available on my department's website. To date, 130 installations have been completed at a cost of approximately £1 million.
Andrew McMurray for supplementary.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and thank you to the Minister. Can the Minister provide an update on the work to develop a flood forecasting system and whether he is actively working with other departments to deliver this?
I'm engaging with my own officials in regards to this matter, and we are seeking, if we can, seek investment either through various monitoring rounds or other programmes that the Executive may be running now in the future, because it will be an extremely beneficial scheme if we can get it properly resourced and put in place. So I am examining ways of delivering on that.
Colin McGrath for supplementary.
Thank you very much, Principal Deputy Speaker. And whilst I appreciate this isn't the Minister's direct fault, when we met with officials after the floods, we were told that the report would be available by June of this year, which may have allowed some work to take place over the summer and therefore ease business owners' concerns that the floods might happen again in October. To hear that this has been pushed back to next year is going to make business owners feel very, very concerned. Is there anything that could be mitigated in the time in between? Because we do not want to see a repeat this autumn of what we saw last year.
Perhaps I misled the member or spoke incorrectly. It's intended that the formal report be compiled by the end of June 2024. So the findings of that report will be available to us. We haven't been standing still. My department and its officials are still examining how we can support communities across the north who have been impacted by flooding and learn lessons very, very quickly. So I can assure the member when the report becomes available to me, I will quickly act with my colleagues within the department to bring forward the recommendations forward as quickly as possible.
Call Deborah Erskine for supplementary.
Principal Deputy Speaker, through the committee we've heard information in relation to properties that are at risk of flood. For example, 45,000 are located in areas at risk, and when you add climate change into that, 14,800 properties at risk. And through the committee we have been asking for a breakdown of where those properties are, but I'm cognisant of the fact that the budget position isn't exactly helpful in relation to prioritising schemes. So can the Minister detail what he is intending to do in relation to flood schemes and alleviation schemes for these properties, because that is quite a significant number of properties here in Northern Ireland?
Minister.
I am finalising my current capital budget and will publish later, and it will indicate in terms of funding towards flood prevention schemes. There is ongoing work going on, and I don't have the exact figures in front of me in terms of investment. We are investing in a number of flood defence schemes across the case. Some are at a more advanced stage than others. Of course, I would like more finances and more budget to carry those out. But I have to deal with the budget I have and use it to its maximum, so I will be doing that. I am looking at the Home Flood Defence Scheme. Currently, under the Home Flood Defence Scheme, if your area is scheduled for a flood alleviation scheme or major works, you may not be entitled to the Home Flood Defence Scheme. I'm looking at that to see if we can be more flexible with that, because despite our best efforts, some of these flood alleviation schemes take several years to deliver. Some of them can be very, very complex, and then you have to match opportunity with budget moving forward. So I am looking at other ways of supporting homeowners to protect their homes from flood and businesses from floods as well.
I call Harry Harvey.
Madam Speaker.
Minister.
The A7 from Belfast to Downpatrick forms part of the strategic road network and is classed as a link corridor. The A7 Roe-Allen to Doran's Rock scheme proposes to widen approximately 1,500 metres of existing carriageway to improve the forward visibility, with wide verge on one side and footpath on the other. The scheme was at an advanced stage of development several years ago, with the design work and an environmental assessment for the scheme being substantially complete. However, the scheme was regretfully not taken forward due to other priorities at the time. My department is currently developing proposals for a new regional strategic transport network transport plan, which will set out the priorities for future development of the main roads and rail networks. I will consider proposals for to the A7 as part of this process. This transport plan is still in development, but once I have identified my preferred options and priorities, a draft document setting out these will be issued for public consultation, giving everyone an opportunity to have their views heard.
Harry Harvey for supplementary.
Thank you, Minister, for your detailed answer there. Minister, also the B7 road from Ballyloan to Drumnaconacher, Ballynahinch, the resurfacing scheme is now almost complete, and I thank you and your department for this. Could the Minister please advise when the second phase of this scheme is scheduled to take place at the Crossgar end of the B7, as this section is equally as broken up and uneven? Thank you.
Minister.
My officials are aware of the condition of the B7 road across Crossgar and that any need for resurfacing will be prioritised against other roads in the division and programme based on available funding. The division programmes are currently being prepared and will be published in due course. In the meantime, my officials will continue to inspect and repair defects that meet the current limited services intervention level to protect public safety.
Nick Matheson for supplementary.
Thank you, Principal Deputy Speaker. The Minister will be aware of how critical the delivery of the Ballynahinch bypass is for the area that's been highlighted by Mr Harvey. Can the Minister confirm when we'll receive a further update on the delivery of that scheme?
I'm currently working through my capital budgets, and once I've done that, I will further engage with my officials responsible for major road improvements. I'm keen to deliver the Ballynahinch scheme. I think it is a very worthwhile project. And will bring huge benefits not only to the town of Ballynahinch but further afield. It's a case of matching budgets up with the opportunity at the time, but it's certainly in my mind an active scheme which I wish to progress during my tenure in this post.
Call Daniel McCrossan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question 7.
The A5 Western Transport Corridor is a critically important infrastructure and flagship project for the Executive. The Planning Appeals Committee issued its final advisory report from the latest public inquiry process 2020 and 2023 to the Department on the 31st of October 2023. This report included 30 advisory recommendations, many of which are detailed and require legal and professional review, advice and input. This complex process is now close to completion. I will be in a position to make an announcement in respect of this scheme when I have reviewed all the relevant information in relation to this project. When I make my announcement, I will do so in accordance with all relevant statutory procedures and on the basis of all evidence, representation and advice which I have received from officials, statutory agencies north and south, members of the public and all other bodies who have participated in the process to date. My announcement will be accompanied by a statement of the reasons for the decision. This will take the form of a department statement, which will include a detailed response to the PAC advisory report and publication of the PAC report itself at the same time.
Daniel McCrossan for a supplementary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, 56 people have died on the A5 since 2006, and since this Assembly came back in February, a further 4 people have died. The report is on your desk now 8 months. Is there any particular reason that we should be concerned for the delay, and can the Minister give us any steer or a concrete answer as to when it will be published?
Minister.
I'm acutely conscious of the deaths on the A5, and I'm acutely conscious of the deaths on the A5 since I've come back into post. I have, throughout my time in the department, prioritised engagement in relation to the Planning Appeals Commission's report. As I said in my opening remarks, it is highly technical, highly legal, highly complex, and I'm also required to carry out significant scientific data collection, and it's because of the nature of that data collection, it has taken several months to do so. That data collection is now complete. It is with a laboratory in England who are going to report back to me in due course. When I have all the evidence and information and answers in front of me, I will be in a position to make an announcement at that time.
Call David Honeyford for supplementary.
Thank you, Principal Deputy Speaker. And firstly, I want to thank the Minister for helping me in a question I raised here recently about Moira Park and Ride, and I appreciate the help in allowing that project to progress. But can the Minister give us an update on essential upgrade for the A1 between Newry and Sprucefield, as well as this project? Has the project moved forward any closer in the last couple of weeks or recent months to make this road any safer for the public?
Again, I'm finalising my capital budget allocation. We'll be making announcements at it later. I am committed to excuse me, delivering on the A1 junction Phase 2 improvements. It is again another extremely busy road, and a road that has seen far too many casualties and accidents upon it. And these road safety improvements need to be carried out. So I hope to be in a position to make further announcements in regards to this matter shortly.
Linda Dillon for supplementary.
Privilege, can I thank the Minister for his answers so far, and can I also thank the Minister and his department for the work they have done in relation to the A5. I don't think we need to reiterate the horror that has been visited on many families, not least in my own area. But can you confirm and I'm grateful to the work that you're doing to ensure that there are no further legal challenges to this, but can you confirm in the interim, have there been conversations with Road Safety Board, with PSNI, about what can be done to keep the road as safe as possible and the people who are using it as safe as possible in the interim?
I have had discussions with the PSNI, and the Road Safety Partnership are continuing to play their part as well. I have to say, in general, the best way to improve road safety is for all of us as road users to change our habits. And whether you're a driver, a cyclist, a motorcyclist, or a pedestrian, it's what action we take on the roads decides whether we arrive home safe or the people we share the road arrive home safe. But I also accept as a responsibility of my department, where measures need to be taken out, they should be taken out in terms of engineering solutions to road safety as well. So I'm continuing to examine options as we move forward to see if I can identify further investment for the road and what the best use of that investment would be in terms of further road safety measures on the A5.
Call Pat Sheehan.
And the whole question 8, please.
It's a matter of deep regret that we continue to see so many lives lost on our roads. We must remember that each life lost is not merely a statistic, but a family member, a parent, a child, or a friend. These deaths cause so much pain to families and tear communities apart. This month, I intend to bring a revised road safety strategy to the Executive for its agreement. A digital advertising campaign is nearing completion, and last week the British Heart Foundation became the latest organisation to partner with us, pledging to share the road to zero. The road safety strategy is an important document to refocus minds and energies on creating safe roads, safe vehicles and safe people. However, it is only the collective effort of us all that will truly make a difference. My officials are working alongside those in other executive departments and from emergency service to ensure that we have a single, agreed and collaborative approach to road safety. Once the outworkings of the budget are known, officials will then work with road safety partners to agree a forward action plan covering engineering, enforcement and education. As I've said previously, we can all play our part in road safety and potentially saving a life by thinking about how we act when we're travelling from A to B, using roads or footpaths. We all need to wise up and take personal responsibility for behaving in a way that keeps ourselves and others safe on our roads.
Pat de Brunorm to Bama Joanne Knockett, so.
Could the Minister tell us what the aim of the road safety strategy is?
Cut road deaths substantially in line with ambitions and targets within other European states and across these islands.
Okay, that ends the period for listed questions. We're going to move on to 15 minutes of topical questions. Questions 6, 7 and 9 have been withdrawn, and I call on Mark Durkin.
Can the Minister give his assessment of the suitability and effectiveness of existing taxi legislation, and does he have any plans to review it?
Minister.
This topic has been raised with me many times in relation to the taxi legislation and the challenges that are facing our taxi industry. My personal view is that the main challenge facing our taxi industry is not the current taxi legislation. It is the different economic factors that have come into play as people's habits have changed since COVID, as people's spending limits have been reduced as a result of the cost of living crisis, and different opportunities for employment arose for those who would normally drive taxis. So there's a range of issues. I have not committed as to date to review the taxi legislation, as resources and personnel within my department will not allow me to do so. I have to prioritise in regards to other matters. So I am committed to working alongside the taxi industry, taxi drivers, to do what I can. But if I'm going to do something, I want to make sure it is an effective response to their needs.
Mark Durkin for a supplementary.
The Minister has given his personal view. It certainly doesn't seem to be a party view, because the previous Minister, Chris Hazzard, and I have to say this predates COVID and the problems that the Minister has outlined, expressed a desire to review the legislation on the basis that it was outdated. If it was outdated in 2016, Minister, is it not outdated now?
Minister.
Well, the member should never look back in anger. This is 2024. I am now the Minister of Infrastructure, and I have to make decisions based on what is the reality in front of me now. The members pointed out what has changed since 2016. COVID, the economy, available jobs, all those things have changed, right? So how do we support our taxi industry? How does our legislator support our taxi industry? I'm open to engage with the taxi industry. In fact, I'm currently writing to the Department for Transport in England, asking them not to proceed with the VAT increases on taxi fares and taxi operators. I think that is the most devastating impact, will have the most devastating impact on taxis and taxi operators, rather than a constant conversation about reviewing a legislation and a constant conversation about what one of my colleagues committed to 8 years ago.
Call Morris Bradley.
Deputy Speaker, just to ask the Minister for Infrastructure what discussion his department has had with NI Water to address the capacity issues of sewage across East Londonderry.
Minister.
I have no specific conversations with NI Water in relation to your own constituency, but I have had conversations with NI Water in relation to how they face the challenges of a budget which does not meet their immediate needs. And we all accept that NI Water and other public bodies need more finance. But this is one of those areas where we're going to have to give leadership, rather than saying it's all terrible, there's nothing we can do. So I'm confident that NI Water will do everything within their power to continue to deliver frontline services and try to advance our wastewater treatment works across all constituencies in a very restricted budgetary period. And I will work with them in doing that. I will also work with my executive colleagues to secure more funding for NI Water and Translink, and indeed my own department as we move forward. But I don't intend burying my head in the sand and saying, oh, it's all terrible, it's all awful, we can't do anything. My attitude to the current financial crisis we're in is that we work together, we work with the Finance Minister, we work collectively around the executive table, and we seek solutions.
Morris Bradley for a supplementary.
Principal Deputy Speaker, and I thank the Minister for his answer. But the reality is, Minister, that lack of infrastructure right across Northern Ireland and East Londonderry in particular is stopping the development of social housing and private housing, and it is an emergency situation at the minute, and I'm sure you're well aware.
If you haven't got the capacity to invest in your public services, it is going to have an impact. That's just reality. But what I would say to members, and I would say to the members, is each application must be judged on its own merits. NI Water will have to make its decisions around, well, can they provide the wastewater treatment services that a new development requires? If they can't, can they work in conjunction with the developer to provide those services that are required, or can the developer provide those services on their own? We're going to have to do things differently moving forward, or the other choice is do nothing, and I don't think that is a choice. So let's do things differently and let's find solutions to the problems we face.
Kate Nicholl.
Principal Deputy Speaker. Thank you, Minister, for your answers so far. Can I ask for an update on the north-south glider route, please?
This is phase 2 glider route? Yes. I'm currently working through with my officials in terms of how we progress to the next steps of delivering the decision I made a number of years ago in terms of the Antrim route, and then moving it out further beyond South Belfast and beyond again. So again, we face financial challenges, but I do think in terms of my first part of my decision, I think we can make progress in this term. But I also want to make sure I leave firm foundations for the progress of the glider service to as many people as possible, because it has been proven to be a very effective and efficient delivery of public transport and has taken significant numbers of private vehicles off the road.
Kate, for supplementary.
Thank you, Minister. When I receive casework queries from constituents in Carryduff, the number one issue that is raised is when is the Lidl opening, and the second one is if the glider will extend to Carryduff to serve that. Are you able to answer that question and commit to it serving Carryduff?
The ambition is to have it to proceed out to Carryduff, yes. I can't give you a time frame on it, but the ambition is, yes, to have a glider service going out as far as Carryduff.
Call John Blair.
Principal Deputy Speaker, in work on water pollution, I discovered the Utility Regulator's Statement of Regulatory Principles and Intent into Northern Ireland Water and Sewage Industry, an historic document dated 2007, which states, amongst other things, that there should be a reduction of the investment backlog in the foreseeable future, and more, I quote, exacting enforceable quality standards to be achieved. Can I ask the Minister for an update and how those outcomes or projected outcomes are being measured, and what work is being done in addressing the investment backlog with respect to wastewater collection and treatment that currently presents quality compliance issues?
Minister.
Well, investment backlog. Until this year, NI Water has been fully funded in accordance with the pricing control period. Fully funded. So the investment plans of NI Water until 24-25 have been fully funded. It will not be possible as a result of the budgets, austerity and 10 or 11 years of Tory rule to fully fund NI Water's price control period. The 24-25 period, I'm looking towards 25-26. But as I say, my officials and I are engaging with NI Water. I've had a meeting with the utility regulator as well as to how we move forward to protect our wastewater treatment infrastructure and also our environment.
John Blair for supplementary.
Thank you, Principal Deputy Speaker, and I thank the Minister for that answer. And a continued question in relation to water quality. Can I ask them for an update on the implementation, if there is to be one, of the event duration monitors which give notification when there's going to be a sewage overflow issue?
They are part of NI Water's future infrastructure investment plans. I will do my best to support NI Water in delivering those because, as the member says, they are an aid in assisting us in tackling sewage and rainwater overflows into our water courses.
Call Emma Sheeran.
Minister, can I ask you if you'll give a commitment that community transport will not be cut in this 2024-25 budget?
My budget will be announced later. I have done everything within my power to protect community transport at the funding levels it was last year, including the restoration of some of the funding that they had lost last year. Community transport, as the member knows from a rural constituency, provides a vital service to many within the rural community. I'm also hoping to meet with Ministers Muir and Minister Nesbitt to discuss how, and the Communities Minister as well, how community transport engages with their departments and delivers services to their departments, and how they in turn can help support community transport moving forward. I think what we need is a long-term sustainable plan for community transport moving forward, both for those who use the service and those who manage and work in the service.
I'm Sharon for a supplementary.
Or am I get Yatanaira Fine Fragra? As you have outlined, community transport is vital, particularly for the most vulnerable and marginalised in rural communities. I wonder if you would provide some detail on your plans for increasing the accessibility and sustainability of community transport going forward.
Minister.
Well, as I say, it is about. I'm not trying to put my executive colleagues under the spotlight. What I'm trying to do is bring a collective thinking to community transport moving forward, because it does, like, community transport provides services to shops, and but it also provides services to the GP, to the hospital, to the dentist, to the community. And it also provides that breakdown of isolation. So I think there is a common cause among me and several other executive ministers in that regard. And when I look at some of the costs that some of my executive colleagues face in providing transport, particularly to patients in the health service, I think community transport could play a vital role there in providing a cost-effective alternative to some of the costs I see being produced.
Call Peter McReynolds.
Thank you, Principal Deputy Speaker. Can the Minister give an update on steps he is taking to address delays in the planning process?
Yes, I was actually commenting just yesterday. I met with the Economy Minister in regards to the planning process, specifically in regards to green energy. The one subject I have discussed most since coming back into post is planning. I've met with a wide range of stakeholders. I've engaged with my officials in regards to this matter. I've met with people involved in planning improvement. I've met with the commission I formed to improve planning, and I think we are beginning to see the shoots, the green shoots of improvement. But I keep coming back to this one conclusion on every discussion I've had about planning. Unless the planning application that is submitted is completed, provides all the information required, has all the environmental statements required, etc., 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 then you're going to face delay. So it's like any process you look at. If you haven't got the first step right, then the rest of it isn't going to work out for you. So I think the most important step we'll take in the future times is the validation checklist, learning from best examples in terms of Belfast City Council, where when an application is being submitted, it has also to ensure that it completes the validation checklist to ensure that all the materials required are contained within.
McReynolds for a supplementary.
I thank the Minister for his response, and certainly the standard of applications is something that I've heard the Minister say a number of times now. Can he confirm if he means local, major or regionally significant applications when he says that?
Minister.
All. As the member will be aware, planning is two-tier. Councils look after the vast majority of planning applications, and there is a significant variance of return rate or standards within our councils. Some councils are performing well within the period set to return an application, others are not. My own department faces challenges in that regards too, but I'd said one of the ways I can improve my own department's planning returns or timescales is one simple stroke. Every time we receive a planning application that's not complete, we hand it back. And my performance rates will go through the roof overnight. Through the roof overnight. We spend too much time going back and forth. We need this, you didn't complete that. Could you please clarify on that? In this day and age, that shouldn't be happening. So while I would say this to those who are submitting planning applications, get it right in the first instance, and then challenge whether it's the council, whether it's statutory consultees, or whether it's my own department if we don't get it right.
William Mervyn.
Madam Principal Deputy Speaker, can I ask the Minister, we're all aware of the massive backlogs in MOT in the past year. Can the Minister give an update on his department's efforts to address the MOT delays?
Yes, since we have introduced the temporary exemption certificates for vehicles 5-year-old and 7-year-old, there has been a significant improvement. Certainly my mailbox correspondence in relation to MOTs has reduced. I don't know about members, but I think we have seen an improvement since those measures were introduced.
Supplementary.
can I thank the Minister for his response? Does the Minister not accept that his department was too slow in making that decision? There was an absolute backlog that was diabolical before that decision was made.
Well, in fairness, I came into office on the 4th of February, and I think I made that announcement in early April. It wasn't too bad.
Question. You'd be glad to know you got all your topicals covered, so handy enough. But the members just take a ease. Do we change the top table?